عصف الأنين بداخلي كم مرة قد ذاق قلبي من أساه محن تمر وكم كرهت مصابها لكن رأيت الخير يسكب في أنا كم مرة قد ضقت من عظم الباب.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. ما بعد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. First of all, Ramadan Kareem to all the viewers. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept your siyam, your qiyam, your ibadah, your istighfar. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability to continue on this momentum of continuous recitation of the Quran and ibadah ila nihaya, until the end, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decrees our death. Allahumma ameen. Let's talk about my track record for a moment before I address the particular individual in question, because I have spoken to him privately. When I had back and forths with the charity sector, I personally went out my way to reach out with certain individuals or charities to address my concerns before going public. And I've always maintained this particular position of mine ever since I've opened the channel. Even with Yasir Qadi, before I released my video regarding the ahruf and the mistakes that he made, I reached out via an intermediary to speak to Yasir Qadi, and it didn't transpire the way I hoped, and hence why I recorded the video publicly. I have good brothers around me and ulama that regularly advise me that if you are to make a video publicly, before doing so, reach out to the individuals in question and address your concerns, so that when people ask, you have maintained good etiquettes and good manners, that you have maintained good communication with the individuals or groups in questions, so that they can't say that you have been hasty and you have went out with a knee-jerk reaction. So I've done this. I've done this with Muslims in need. I did this with Brother Safraz, and now I have done this with our brother Hamza. I was made aware of a live stream that Hamza's Den recorded, and he was requesting £20,000 to continue a live stream which he called the Chill live stream. But this £20,000 was for him to stop working in the markets. Because he has to work, he cannot continue this particular live stream. So he was requesting funds from the believers of up to £20,000 so he can continue this live stream. Now this is unacceptable. If you have to work, I have to work, and everybody in the da'wah, so to a certain extent, has to work. I've recorded videos regarding the Salaf, and their titles were connected to their livelihood. And again, I don't want to go into the whole video because it's up. So I naturally issued a tweet where I highlighted my concerns. Never mentioned the name in question because I had no way of reaching out to him, so I kept it respectable. And majority of the public, or those who were on X, understood who I was referring to. And about a few hours later, I received a message from Hamza. He received my message. He received my number from someone, I don't know who, but that's not a problem. Obviously, brothers naturally should, out of courtesy, reach out to me, but that's not a big deal. And we spoke. And what he mentioned to me privately wasn't mentioned in the live stream. So I naturally, being a brother, advised him, because he mentioned some debts. He has up to £50,000 worth of debt because of certain business ventures, and he was embarrassed to obviously mention it. So I said, look, if you're requesting support from the believers, you need to be transparent, right? So he said, what shall I do? I said, look, if you put out a public fundraiser documenting or writing rather everything regarding your issues with your debt, I'll be the first to donate, and I will share it as well, because as we know, Man kana fi hajati akhihi kana Allahu fi hajati, or kama qala alayhi salam, whoever's in the need of his brother, Allah will be in his need. And so I said, no problem. So he issued the fundraiser, and I was the first one to donate. Well, one of the first. In his words, right, he was going to raise 25,000, buy more stock to clear off the other 50,000. And he said to me personally, I'm only raising £25,000. And that 25,000 would enable me to make £50,000 so I can clear my debt. So I said, fair enough, no problem. I would ask him for documentation later, so I left him to it. I went to Syria. This is about a month in now, or going into about a couple of months. And then I was made aware, and as you can see on screen, that he's now raised the fundraiser to £35,000. So from £25,000, he raised it to £50,000. So people naturally were a bit circumspect, naturally so. So as you can see, brother mentions, he's saying raising half of 50,000, meaning 25 is more than enough. Target has been hit, but instead of closing, it's been raised to 35,000k. No clear reasoning given as to how he's got himself in such debt in the first place. And now he's in Qatar and Dubai live streaming. Comments are right to question. Okay. And then other brothers as well have mentioned, obviously, certain things. You have to be transparent to the audience. You said you only needed half of the 50k, now you've increased to 35. Brother Hamza, there are people in a lot less fortunate position than yourself. Work hard and Allah will provide. I thought you'd already hit your goal of 25,000. You regret this, how pathetic. Now come back to me. Now unfortunately, the brothers in London who are in the da'wah haven't got the bottle to raise it. Unfortunately, let's just call it out as it is. It's your duty to raise this. It's your duty to bring this matter to the public, because the ummah's money is being spent, and it is our right to ask for evidence that those claims that he mentioned at the start, 25,000, and he said it to me personally, by the way. He said this to me personally. I don't want to go issue out the private WhatsApp messages and the voice notes and the conversations I had, but he mentioned this to me privately, and you did, Hamza. You said, all I need is £25,000 so that I can make 50,000 to clear my debts, but all of a sudden it's gone up by 10,000. And now you're in Dubai and you're in Qatar. To add, I asked Hamza for documentation to evidence that he has cleared his debt, he has bought stock or whatever it may be. Unfortunately, he said he was unable to do so because he paid cash. There's no evidence at all. So this is a matter of serious concern. Wallah al-Azim, this is a matter of serious concern. And brothers and sisters have contacted me privately, saying this ain't the first grift he's done. So, uqsumu billahi al-ali al-azim, this is aib. To all in the da'wah that kept silent, that didn't address this matter publicly, you are part of the problem. You are part of the problem, and I don't care whether it's your followers, your views, hikmah, the over abuse of maqasid. This is abuse. There is no evidence to suggest that he spent the £50,000 where he, again 35,000, where he's allegedly supposed to have been spending it, or stock, or documentation. It's abuse. Unfortunately, it's abuse. And I'm going to say this is, if this individual, I'm going to say this publicly, it's Ramadan and I'm fasting, I'm going to bring out what's in my heart. If this brother was a black revert, unfortunately, he won't get the support that he would need. But because he's, this white privilege, this white superiority, this slave master colonial mentality, colonial slave master mentality, this is why people give. I hate to say it. And if a brother from a different background, let's not even say black, let's say a different background, non-white, he wouldn't get the support. I promise you this. So, even a brother put up, he says, why are you taking holidays if you're in debt? And he's in Qatar, he's in Dubai, and there's no evidence that he spent the £35,000 accordingly. So, unfortunately, this matter needs to be addressed. And I say this publicly, do not ever pay towards his fundraisers. He cannot be trusted. He's not provided documentation. He's spending the ummah's wealth, and we don't know where it's going. I contributed. I did it out of good faith. As Isa, he swore by Allah. As we know the hadith, when the man stole. And Isa alayhi salam said to him, did you steal? And he said, I swear by Allah, I did not steal. And Isa alayhi salam said, Amantu billah wa katabtu ayni, or kama qal. That I believe in Allah when he swore by Allah. And he said, I disbelieve in what my eyes saw. But unfortunately, these people now in this day and age, uqsum billahi al-ali al-azim, we could go to the riwayat of Hudhayfa bin Yaman. I don't want to go into it. Accountability is important. I will show you from the time of the Sahaba, aqwal al-Sahaba, how Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu dealt with issues with Khalid bin Walid radiallahu anhu, how there was disputes with Sa'd bin Abi Waqqas and Abdullah bin Mas'ud. I'm going to get into that to show the charity sector as well. You are accountable. Now, Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu, Amirul Mu'mineen, he mentioned, and as you can see on screen, we've got the book, Muhasabat al-Nafs, okay, about the accountability of the nafs, and this is written by Ibn Abi Dunya. Now he presents a riwayah from Umar bin Khattab. This is to you, Hamza, and this is to the charity sector as well. Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu mentioned, Hasibu anfusakum qabla an tuhasabu. He said that hold yourselves accountable before you are held accountable, and evaluate yourselves before you are evaluated. For the day of judgment will be easier upon you tomorrow if you held yourselves accountable today. Subhanallah al-Azim. This is an important message from Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu. And to all those who are requesting money from the ummah, hold yourselves to account. You are accountable. And I'm going to present riwayat and athar from tarikh and from different riwayat from books of tarajim and whatnot. And again, just to add as a disclaimer, this I'm not extracting a hukm from it, but just to show you the severity of the matter. Right? That these events in history and due to the Sahaba radiallahu anhum's concern about being held to account, and even being held to account, these so-called, capitalistic Muslims, all of a sudden believe that they're not held they don't need to be held accountable. What planet are you living on? So we've got an athar now, as you can see on screen. We've got the book Al-Isaba fi Tamyiz al-Sahaba by Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, and under the biography of Khalid bin Walid radiallahu anhu, subhanallah, I was fortunate to visit his grave in Homs just recently, about 3 days ago or 4 days ago. He mentions that the reason why, listen to this, the reason why Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu removed Khalid bin Walid from his post radiallahu anhu, and this is mentioned by Zubair bin Bakkar, right? That Khalid, if he used to get some money, he used to split the ghanaim to the people of Ghanaim, the Ghanima to the people of Ghanaim. And he never used to give any account to Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. Never used to give any account. This Khalid bin Walid radiallahu anhu never used to give an account to Abu Bakr. So the situation came at hand that he used to do things that Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu was never used to see. Like, for example, or would be pleased with. Like the killing of Malik bin Nuwayra and marrying his wife. And Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu used to dislike this. And Umar radiallahu anhu requested Abu Bakr to remove Khalid bin Walid from his post. And Umar bin Khattab did when he attained the Khilafah. If this was the situation of the Sahaba radiallahu anhu who had adala, who were adul, and they never used to give hisab, Khalid bin Walid radiallahu anhu never used to give a hisab to Abu Bakr. And Umar radiallahu anhu was frustrated and said, you need to remove him with all the other issues. So who do you think you are, you charities? If you claim money, we're going to get to situations with food packs and whatnot. If you have a pot of money that the believers are put into, forget the Charity Commission. That's not binding upon us on the Shara. Yes, legally you have to do that. But that doesn't cover the Sharia requirements. The Ummah have a right. So as you can see on screen, we've got Akamilu Fit Tarikh by Ibn Athir. So I'm showing you the importance of the wealth of the Ummah, right? Where these charities somehow feel they've got an absolute right to it and they don't need to provide any transparency to the Ummah. Not talking about the Charity Commission, I'm talking about the Ummah here. وسبب ذلك أن سعد اقترض من عبد الله بن مسعود من بيت المال قرضا. So Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas requested some wealth from the Bayt al-Mal, and Abdullah bin Mas'ud in Kufa was in charge of it. So he said, فلما تقاضاه ابن مسعود ولم يتيسر له قضاؤه فارتفع بينهما كلام. So he mentions that when Abdullah bin Mas'ud requested the money back, right? And he was unable to pay it back, Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, an argument rose between them. So you see, noble companions, so come back to me now. So you see, noble companions, when it came to the mal of the Muslims, right? Abdullah bin Mas'ud was firm. This is Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas here, one of the 10, one of the Ashram al-Bashireen bil Jannah, one of the 10 that have been promised paradise. And Abdullah bin Mas'ud said, regardless what your status is, you've taken mal from the Baytul Mal, the mal of the Muslims. You need to pay it back. And when he's unable to pay it back, there became an issue between them. Anyway, let's go back to the story. So Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, فَقَالَ لَهُ سَعْد مَا أَرَاكَ إِلَّا سَتَلْقَى شَرٌ. Sa'd said to him, I only see some evil. Okay? I'm only going to encounter some evil in you. And he said, are you Ibn Mas'ud? Okay? The person from Hudayl. So Ibn Mas'ud said, yes. What happened was, I'm going to summarize, that Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas his dua was mustajab, right? His dua was accepted. So because of the issue, Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas raised his hand. فَرَفَعَ سَعْدٌ يَدَهُ لِيَدْعُوا عَلَىٰ Ibn Mas'ud. So he raised his hand to make dua against Ibn Mas'ud. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu was witty. When Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas raised his hand, he said, Allahumma rabbas samawati wal ard, when he started his dua, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud interjected straight away and said, فَقَالَ ibn Mas'ud وَيْلَكَ كُلْ خَيْرًا وَلَا تَلْعَنْ. He said, say good things and don't curse. And then Sa'd responded by saying, Wallahi, if I didn't fear Allah, I would have made a dua against you that wouldn't miss. Abdullah bin Mas'ud left. For Wallah Abdullah, sari'an, he left quickly. And what he did was he started seeking support to get the debt cleared for Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas. Then he mentions that the people left. فَافْتَرَقُوا وَبَعْدَهُمْ يَلُومُ بَعْدًا. يلوم هؤلاء سعدا وهؤلاء عبد الله. And some started blaming Sa'ad, and some started blaming Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu. So coming back to me now. So you see the importance of holding yourself to accountability, and the Sahaba radiallahu anhum did that. And Umar bin Khattab, and as you can see, there's an obviously a narration which I forgot to mention regarding Khalid bin Umar radiallahu anhu. It's in a riwayah that's mentioned in Sunan al-Kubra, and Umar radiallahu anhu stood up and gave a khutbah and apologized about Khalid, and he said, I ordered him to give mal to the weak people, or the ones that are poor from the Muhajirin, but he started giving it to the people of Sharaf and honor and speech and whatnot. And this is obviously connected to the one that I mentioned in Isaba fi Tamyiz Sahaba. I'm going to go to the food box later, but there's a riwayah, there's a kalam on it regarding Umar ibn Khattab and the two garments, a very famous story regarding how they called him into account. As you can see, we've got Uyun al-Akhbar li Ibn Qutaybah, and he mentions that Al-Utbi, right, mentioned that Umar radiallahu anhu sent him some spoils of war, and that was like a two-piece garment, right? And so he distributed them for qasamaha. He distributed them. So each person was given one garment, meaning each person was given one particular garment, meaning that one person would take the top and one would take the bottom. So he went up on the minbar and he had the complete set, both garments. So he said, Ayyuhan nas, will you not listen? So Salman Farsi said, La nasma, we won't listen. So he said, why? Abu Abdullah, that was his kunya. And he said, then Salman replied that you distributed some garments to us, one garment for each person, but you have both on yourself. So he called out and said, La ta'jal, that don't be hasty, Ya Abu Abdullah. Then Umar radiallahu anhu called out to his son, Ya Abdullah ibn Umar. And then he responded by saying, Labbaik ya Amirul Mu'minin, I'm at your service. So he said, I implore you by Allah as a witness, is this thobe that I'm wearing, meaning the izar, the lower garment, yours? And Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhu said, Allahumma na'am. So then Salman Farsi responded by saying, Amma al-an faqul nasma. Then Salman radiallahu anhu responded after hearing that it was the second garment was from his son Abdullah bin Umar that gave it to Umar bin Khattab. Salman Farsi said, Amma al-an, as for now, faqul, speak, we will listen. Okay? Now come back to me now. So you see the importance. Okay, yes, there's some kalam on this riwayah and whatnot, but there's different athar. You could just go to the book of Muhasabat al-Nafs, Kitab al-Zuhad of Bayhaqi, Kitab al-Zuhad of Abdullah ibn Mubarak. At the end of the day, these questions, we're in the month of Ramadan, you have to be continuously asking the relevant questions. And now I'm going to get to a verse in the Quran, right? Because there's similarities of the ahbar and the ruhban, the priests and the monks in our ummah today. Rest assured. And this is testimony from a tabi'i. Now as you can see on screen, we've got Tafsir Ibn Kathir. So under the verse in Surah Tawbah, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that, oh, you believe. Indeed, a lot of the ahbar and the ruhban, they eat the wealth of the people with batil, right? And they prevent people from the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now it mentions that this, the Maqsoodiyah, Ibn Kathir mentions that this is a warning from the ulama of Su, right? And the Ubbad al-Dalala, that as Sufyan ibn Uyayna mentioned, that whoever is corrupt from our ulama, he has similarities of the Yahud. And whoever is corrupt from our worshippers has the similarities and the traits of the Nasara. And then he mentioned the hadith about that you will follow the people before you, or the path of the people before you, path by path, etc. And then they mentioned, are these the Jews and the Christians? And he said, who else? And in another way, he said, Faris wa Rum, the Persians and the Romans. And then the Prophet said, Waman. An-nas illa ha'ulai. Who else is it apart from these people? So rest assured, those traits of the Yahud and the Nasara and the Ahbar and the Ruhban and the Ubbad and the Ulama of our times resemble the people before you. And as it mentions in the verse, لَيَأْكُلُونَ أَمْوَالَ النَّاسِ بِبَاطِلِ. That they eat the people, the wealth with batil. Okay, forget about, 15, 20 grand on the wrist and, plush cars and whatnot. If Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu, Salman al-Farsi called him out, and Khalid bin Walid was called, and there was no hisab. He never used to give Abu Bakr hisab. Who the hell are you capitalistic charities who are abusing the pillar of zakat, who don't provide no transparency and think the charity commission's report are sufficient? Not in the shar, mate, not in the shar. Now, what I mentioned about the Ahbar and the Ruhban, we got Dalal al-Nubuwa by Imam al-Bayhaqi, right? Imam al-Bayhaqi, this is volume 2. My brother Ayushi bought this for me in Egypt, Allah reward him. And this is page 74 in my book. Is it 64, sorry. This is Dhikru Sabab al-Islam Salman al-Farsi, it's under that chapter. And it mentions a riwayah, right? No, tell you what, it's not 74, it's 68, sorry, 68, afwan. That Salman al-Farsi, you know his story when he went from Iran, Isfahan, and he went to Sham, then from Sham he went to Mosul, and then, to seek the truth. He was with a bishop, right, or a priest, Ahbar, or Rahman, sorry. And he mentions that it was narrating a story to Ibn Abbas. It's very lengthy. If you want to read this chapter, it's also in different books as well. So he mentioned about a man that he was accompanying, learning from. And he says, وَكَانَ رَجُلٌ سُوء. He was an evil man. And he used to order the people to sadaqah, or give sadaqah, and encourage people towards it. But he used to gather it and keep it for himself. And he never used to give the masakeen. So he used to get angry. And when he used to see his hal, when he used to see the state of this individual. So when he died, it was time to bury him, right? فَقُلْتُ لَهُمْ that إِنَّ هَذَا رَجُلٌ سُوء. Because indeed this man's an evil man. He used to order the people to do sadaqah and encourage people to do it, but he used to gather the wealth and used to keep it for himself. فَقَالُوا, what is the sign that you have for this? What is your proof? فَقُلْتُ, I will extract his treasure box or his treasury. فَقَالُوا هَيْهَاتْ, let's go. So when I extracted, he had loads of paper and silver and whatnot. So when they saw this, they said, Wallahi, we would not bury him at all. And they crucified him on a cross and they pelted him with, to come back to me. So there you go, we got Dalal al-Nubuwa by Imam al-Bayhaqi rahmatullah alayh. So you see the alamat here, that this issue of charity people abuse. It's known. And so many scandals have happened, right? And I notice with charities now, they're hot on like perishables, like food and all those sort of things. Orphans, not so much, but it's food packs, right? And I've been in Egypt, and I've spoken to locals regarding these food packs. And remember, they buy in bulk. I got voice notes, so I don't want to go into that because it's an amana with the ulama in Egypt. And he, back in August, he went to a market. We said to go to a market, and what they have, usually we'll get into, right, it's usually the food packs have rice, flour, oil, lentils, beans, pulses, vegetables and sugar. So that's the pack that usually has. It's not too big, right? And we'll get to the cost later. So what happened was, the brother we sent in Egypt, we said, look, why don't you go to the local market and tell us what the retail price is? Because remember, they're going to get in bulk. They're going to buy huge amounts, and they're going to obviously get a discounted price. We know this. I've been in Egypt. I know. So number one, pasta was 30 julayha, 30 per kilo, right? Per kilo, 30 julayha. Al-ma, which was 7 janahat, and that is £7 per bottle, Egyptian pounds, not British pounds. Al-aruz was 33 julayhan for 1 kilo. Half a kilo of cheese was 40 julayhan. And adas, which is lentils, was 80, and tathin, flour, was 25. So the market price was 215 Egyptian pounds, right? Now remember, when they're saying food packs, right, and I'm gonna get to that, they're not talking about the transportation of it. They're not talking about the fuel. They're not talking about anything. They said this is what the food pack costs. right? So there's no transparency regarding it. If they turn around and say, no, but this doesn't include the fuel, this doesn't include this doesn't include that, you're not asking for that. You're asking for the food pack, right? So if it's inclusive of it, then obviously, naturally, you need to give us the cost for how much the distribution is, the cars or whatever. Because if you're renting them, well, naturally, you're not buying them, are you? And if you're buying them, then have you requested money for that? Anyway, so it's 215 Junaid, which is £5.54. £5 what? 54. And again, this is not bulk, this is market price. This is what? Market price. So come back to me now. Now, what we'll do is I've got packs or money that they're requesting, right? Because this is big business. There's margins, unfortunately. There's margins. They're making margins out of food packs. I've already presented contracts from different charities where they're making margins of orphans. It's a business. It's a charity, but obviously with a capitalistic framework, with a capitalistic mindset, with a capitalistic agenda, with goals that is rooted in capital. It's all about money. It's all about profit. It's all about margins, but in the name of charity, unfortunately. And obviously they're not amilun, they're not workers, so they can't take from the zakat. So let's go to these different websites. I've removed the names. So you got here, £40. One food pack can feed a family of a month. £40. Now, just to add as well, okay, let's just present more. 120 for three families for a month, and 400, which is 10 food packs that can cover 10 families for a month. Right. So come back to me now. Now, I've just come back from Syria and Lebanon. And let me tell you something. The currency is really bad. So I'll give you an example. When we were in Lebanon, we ordered some food from outside, and the delivery, it was one of their Uber Eats sort of thing, similar to Uber Eats, it wasn't Uber Eats. And the delivery was 100,000 lira, Lubnani lira, 100,000 lira. You know how much that was? £1. £1. I went to a restaurant, I remember, the brothers from the media department, may Allah bless them, went to a restaurant in central Damascus. I went to this mall, very plush mall, and we ate. There was a lot of us, and we ate. So I remember the bill came, and we're looking at it, and I'm looking at the bill, and I've never seen this with zeros in my life. I'm looking at this bill, I'm thinking, this is not right. So I spoke to the brothers from the media department. I said, what the hell is this? He goes, yeah. It was like about 1 million. And I'm looking at it thinking, what the hell? Like, this is crazy. But all it was £100. So I'm just showing you in a plush mall, in a fancy American restaurant, how many people ate. We couldn't even finish the food. We had to pack it and give it to people outside for the masakin and the fuqara outside. It was nothing. So £40, again, going back to other food packs as well, as you can see, £50 for others. So you see the price varies, 40, 50. And this pack includes, it follows the United Nations guidelines, rice, flour, oil, lentils, beans, pulse, vegetables, sugar. Another one, £75, 150, 300. This food pack contains powdered milk, spaghetti, canned tomato, sugar lentils, sardines, tea, chickpeas, and dates. Right. So now I like to ask, right, this is what you should be asking as well. Let me put this in my pocket. £40, £50, £70, right? And whenever you're giving it, and again, if it's 100% donation policy, 100%. So of these canned tomatoes, beans, and whatnot, it's going to last a family a month. I've seen your boxes, unfortunately. They're not big. Not big at all. And you only have a handful of items inside of it, right? As it mentions, like powdered milk, spaghetti, canned tomato, sugar, lentils, sardines, tea, chickpeas, and dates. £75. Let me tell you something. If you go to Aldi with a budget, right, and I'm being completely honest, right, and I was speaking to brothers about this, with £75, you go to Aldi, you go to Lidl, you'll save money for the amount of items that are here. This is British pounds. Okay, you could say, oh, but trust me, I've been to Lebanon, I've been to Egypt, I've been to Syria. There is a lot you can buy with 50 quid. There's a lot you could buy. And especially if you're getting it wholesale, you're getting it at a discounted rate. So is 100% of the donation going towards those packs? Because those packs are what? How big are they? Right? So yeah, so how big is the box? Rice, flour, oil, lentils, beans, vegetable, sugar, 50 quid, 40 quid. Obviously from Egypt, as I know, it was costing £5, but they were getting it for crazy prices. Powdered milk and whatnot. Is that going to last a month? One whole month, £40. Is that going to last? That pack, just a powdered milk, spaghetti, canned tomato, super lettuce, sardines, tea, chicken. You give me £75, right? You give me £50. I can assure you, I could fill a box with this amount, and I still have money left over. I promise you. Aldi, Lidl, go to Aldi and Lidl and give me a box, that box that you have, and put these items in. Powdered milk, what, a quid or two?
Spaghetti, I could get that dirt cheap from Aldi and Lidl. Canned tomato, you could get that for 20 pence, 30 pence. Lentils, you could get for a quid or two. Sardines, you could get for about 2-3 quid. Tea, you could get dirt cheap, like £5. Chickpeas, dirt cheap. And dates, you could get dates for like £5. So hold on, 50 quid, 40 quid, and 75 quid. How are you maintaining your 100% donation policy if you're buying in bulk as well? So does that box, that your food pack that all of you are requesting on your Islamic channels, breaking the bank, people's zakat generously being donated, and you really think that that's the amount it costs? No, it doesn't. I promise you that. And if it's 100% donation fund, does this include the fuel as well? Because you don't say it. You just said our food packs follow guidance out by the United Nations to ensure the contents are both neutral. It doesn't mention about the cost about transporting and whatnot. Even the other one as well. It says £40, one food pack. It's all connected to the pack. You don't mention about the distribution. You don't mention about the petrol. You don't mention about the diesel. So I'm saying to our viewers, right, use your brain. Ask these charities what's in those packs and is it 100% donation. So that £40, if it's in Lebanese currency. So let me break it down, right? Obviously, forget black market rates and whatnot. £40, right? Lebanese. I'm just going to work it out now because ultimately everyone needs to know that the money that they're spending, right, is going exactly where it should. Lebanon, right? Okay, so this is what the cost is, Lebanese. £1, 40 quid, right? That was the lowest, right, for one of the charities. Is 4,668,593, right? That's what 40 quid will get. So are you telling me that when you buy it wholesale, the sardines, the canned tomatoes, the powdered milk, the water bottle, the date, and all the 5, 6, 7 items you got in that box of yours, it's costing 40 quid? Is it really costing 40 quid? Okay, let's go to Suri now. I remember I was absolutely gobsmacked. All the Syrian restaurants and shops have the the money machine because it's too much. How are they going to count it? You see? So Syrian pound was lira, in fact. So what? I don't know. They say pound here, but I don't think it's pound. Saying £16,000. No, that's wrong. It was lira when they used Turkish lira and they used Syrian lira in Damascus. Idlib, they used Turkish liras, and elsewhere they use Syrian lira. They love their dollars as well. So, I'd like to ask, finally, one last time. 40, 50, and 75. All those particular items, and I'll put it up what the request is, like canned tomatoes and whatnot. It's going to be here and here. Is it really costing you that much? The pack itself. And if you're not transparent enough, then are you making a margin? Be honest. Just say I'm making a margin. Yeah, it's not costing us 40 quid. It's costing us 20 quid a box, right? It's costing us 20 quid a box. You're saying it lasts a month, right? So that's your claim. Al-bayyinatu al-mudda'i. That the proof is on the claimant. You're claiming it costs 40 quid, so we're gonna take it. But does it really cost 40 quid? Is it really costing you 40 quid? 100% donation policy. You're buying in bulk as well. Is it? I say la'natullah ala al-kadibin. And I'll do mubahala with you if you want. Let's do mubahala. I got nothing to lose. You understand? When I went to Syria, I didn't request any money because I don't want that amana on my neck. You understand? The only one that gave me was private family members. You understand? And I even showed them when I gave the private videos. I even showed them the money that I gave to the pound. And even then, I put some more on as well because the rate was slightly different because it was exchanging from dollars to lira. So I'll do mubahala. I ask Allah to curse anyone that is profiting. And remember, profiting is the key word here. Profiting from charity money, profiting from zakat, profiting from sadaqah, profiting from lillah. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to show us their disgrace and curse them in this life and the hereafter. It's getting beyond a joke now. I'm going to have to use. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala show us your disgrace in this world and the hereafter. So, questions need to be asked. Hamza, anyone, and to you Hamza, no one should give you a penny, bro. No one should give you a penny. 35,000 pounds, where's it gone? Where's the money gone? Show us proof. The money came in your bank account, right? Is it still in your bank account? Is it still there? How much have you taken out? How much have you spent? Wallah, this is aib. First time I've ever seen anyone request money for their personal debts. And then move the goalpost. Say 25,000. He said it to me. 25,000. That's all I need, brother. Haji. He's gonna go 50,000. I'm gonna earn. I'm gonna be independent. But then all of a sudden he's raised it to another 10 grand. Aib. Aib. Aib alayk. طف عليكم كلكم. All of you who are exploited. Take care of yourselves. صلى على نبينا محمد.
ليس الغريب غريب الشام واليمن، إن الغريب غريب اللحد والكفن. إن الغريب له حق لغربته على المقيمين في الأوطان والسكن. سفري بعيد وزاد لن يبلغني، وقوتي ضعفت والموت يطلبني. ما أحلم الله عني حيث أمهلني، وقد تماديت في ذنبي ويسترني. تمر ساعة